Welcome back to the absolute most professional StarCraft 2 with the three-time and current world champion and widely considered to be the greatest player of all time, the Zerg and the finisher. It's Serral, up against one of his greatest rivals, the rank 1 Protoss in the world, not the one we deserve, but the one we need right now, a hero. In a best of 7 Protoss versus Zerg showdown as part of the playoffs for the $10,000 Pigsty Festival number 7. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button, maybe even subscribe. Let me count the algorithm. Give me what do we have? 1,818 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. Nope. Probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Then the first probe chased down. After successfully blocking Serral's Natchery, though he'll be able to get his third and second before the Adept comes across. So driven away, Serral putting some extra effort into making sure he doesn't get delayed, because you don't really have a lot of options on this map. If the second base gets delayed even further, well then you're kind of restricted to the budget base, the pocket base in the back corner, which is uniquely vulnerable to shenanigans like Protoss air units. And speaking of shenanigans like Protoss air units, a Phoenix in this economy? Well, a Phoenix and then an Oracle to take down Overlords and, yeah. Yeah, you see it. Overlord accepts its fate, and we'll try to get a little bit more information, but unlikely to get much more than seeing some Adepts. The Oracle behind, but just keeping Serral in the dark about things is always a better option. Now, it might seem a bit counterintuitive considering everything, but I think Serral is coming into this as the underdog. The last time they faced was in the $50,000 All-Stars tournament not 2 months ago, and Hero 3-0'd Serral. And it wasn't really close. Like, no mercy. Honestly, I feel like Hero was a little surprised at how easily he walked over arguably the greatest opponent. A quick rug pull as the Queen flying again, very temporarily, and the Oracle tries to get anything underneath. Unfortunately, a bit ill-conceived as there were barely any drones at that base. Really, the Phoenix to lift the Queens is... Oh, the drone noticed before Hero did. But the 4th base is on the way. That pocket base for both sides as an Adept in order to shut the employee entrance that workers can get through. And sure, yeah, we're going to go charge behind it, as Hero never one to abide by the meta that he himself created some years ago, the blink +1. But it seems like a very rare proposition for him nowadays. One of the advantages, several advantages for Protoss in this scenario, but one of the advantages is completely being able to lock down your base. There is the barricade, the blockade, the rocks that cut off the direct path, and then a ramp up to the natural. And otherwise, there's no way for Zerg to actually attack directly. Even your 3rd base, especially in this scenario, is almost impossible to assault without a huge commitment. Which means that Hero feels relatively safe going for the entire menagerie of splash damage now. He's got a robotics bay and a Templar archive simultaneously. Whereas Serral might be thinking about Mutas. Even though there's the Stargate, obviously, and a Phoenix on the field. Above it, if you want to be pedantic. You're in the comments, so I don't know. The Stargate, he's not pumping out units. He only built 1 Oracle, which actually gives him less scouting than you'd usually have with even more Oracles. So, not a bad scenario to try to sneak some mutas out onto the field. And they might be more useful than even Serral realizes, as that robotics bay is not for units that deal with mutas very easily. The Zerglings, just going to... He didn't cancel it, because Hero never cancels any of his strategies. Matter of principle. Though losing those extra minerals is certainly not going to help in a more conventional sense. doesn't really matter. Okay, I saw him pull back with the Zerg. Serral's like, you know, I feel like Serral is giving Hero more credit than Hero is giving Hero. As Hero just leaves the door wide open. The Zerglings could have gotten in. Now, some might argue, including Hero, might argue that it's actually intentional. It's a bait. You want to get those Zerglings and to kill them off. But I don't think letting Zerglings in your base and delaying your Archon drop is the best long-term or short-term strategy. So Hero off to a heroic start and giving Serral even more opportunities to get the damage done. There's the Archon drop on the right side. An Overseer will be taken out by the Phoenix, and more Phoenix is on the way. So he either spotted the Spire or he smelled it, which, I mean, if you don't have a mouth, you probably have a more acute sense of smell. Just the fact that Serral is clearly mining gas from everywhere he possibly can. Roaches are not the most gas-heavy units. Mutas, on the other hand, guzzle it like almost no one nowadays, really. Meanwhile, the Phoenix is a little bit slow, and the first Phoenix is almost taken out. 5 Mutas are enough to kill probes in a single volley, and he has more than that. Almost tries to target down the other, but boxed in. Archon comes around the side. There is no blink, so the Stalkers are not able to chase, and the Phoenix's Hero's army is just meandering about like a Scooby-Doo chase scene right now. And the Mutas get out with, well, really not that many probe kills. But Serral bought himself that most important thing. Time. Can't be getting all rustled up on game 1. It's gonna have repercussions. There's not even Terrence here. Sorry. I really didn't. He had so many opportunities. Serral's at 200 supply. Hero, not so much. He's got a Colossus mixed in there. Plenty of Templar, though no Storm, no Blink on the way. So, he's got the basics, but he doesn't have... Oh yeah, sure. How about a Fleet Beacon? We'll throw that one in there. A Fleet Beacon is on the way. Going to force the Templar to merge. Serral, again, helping Hero along because there's no Storm. He actually wanted to merge them in the first place. He just didn't find the space to do so. 5 more probes dead. Those are changelings on the other side that we see the little blue on the minimap. The Phoenixes dueling with the Mutas, which they technically outrange, but practically Serral is finding his way close enough. Okay, well, Hero, with his drunken brawler Protoss, is leaning into the first part of that sentence, it seems, as he's now lost 4 Phoenixes, only taking out 7 Mutas. With perfect micro, you lose no Phoenixes, even before speed. Of course, everyone has a plan until Serral punches you in the non-existent mouth. And the Warp Prism... But wait, wait, what? Yeah, he lost a Warp Prism. Another one popped up, seemingly out of nowhere, but he had 2. Just in case, you never know. Brenda, you're flying again! Oh, shit. The few Mutas used entirely as a sort of screwdriver to dismantle the defense here. Not even a crowbar, but a Banelings! So many Banelings! And Hero scrambling back, but Banelings to counter Colossi and Archons, which is incredibly counterintuitive until you realize that quantity has a quality all its own. Stasis! The biggest stasis you could possibly... A lot going on right now. A huge stasis from Hero, and then he wanders a Colossus into Corrosive Bile. Serral plummets to 200 supply. He's got an Ultraless Cavern and a Greater Spire simultaneously. There's a Mothership on the way. The Mutas are still going. 12 probes dead, but Hero is going forward because there's almost nothing to go. Another stasis. More Banelings. There's no anti-air to reliably take out the Warp Prism, but unreliable anti-air seems to be perfectly effective against Hero, both past, present, and I'm going to assume future. So Serral's getting absolutely everything, and Hero has almost nothing, which means he's going to fight to the bitter end. Serral, these Mutas, 4 kills, 5 kills. I feel like that's underselling their effect on this game. Hero's under 50 probes. The stasises are constantly undercutting. Serral with 5 Dropper Lords on the way. We could be seeing some Ultraless drop Harass, which always begs the question of which overlord the Ultralisk is in. Unfortunately, there's not enough space in the supply to fit those Ultras right now, which is one of those good problems that Zergs occasionally suffer from. Hero suffering from a whole lot more problems. We'll finally take out the Mutas. Nope. One Muta will flap home and tell his friends what happened here today. How he's colleagues. Mothership. So, Hero refuses... Did he just try to take out a... I don't know, I think... Oh, Changeling and Corrosive Bile on the same hotkey. So, occasionally you get those kind of miscues there. But here we go. And one of the downsides of this pocket base is how droppable it is. And 5 Overlords in the back corner. Roaches and Banelings. He recalls back a weird amount of units to defend. Is it enough? I have no idea. Meanwhile, the front side. Time Warp throws it up. Corrosive Bell not going to be enough to deal with the Mothership. And Hero will obliterate the Roaches and drive back the front line. And Hero's right back in it. Hero refuses to acknowledge his less than stellar position in the game and slaps together MacGyver's an incredible defense as Serral kind of trades out his army. But he's traded it out for 7 Ultralisks. As an arguably great man Hydra once said, when I'm really far ahead and I want to lose, I build Ultras. And this is one of those scenarios that may prove that statement very accurate. There's multiple Immortals. There's the Mothership, a whole bunch of Archons. Ultras can be very good if you're really focused on gateway units. Archons don't really count. They're like a step up, even though they don't have feet. A single Roach drop at the back, still keeping him busy, but it is absolutely incredible and inspiring how Hero has brought it back to 180 supply, despite the... what am I watching? Probes will dismantle Banelings before they can merge, but here comes Ultraslings and Banes in a cinematic experience. Does he have a Time Warp? He desperately needs it. He uses it around the corner. The Immortals lead the charge. The charge lot's already wiped out. Another round coming in. The Ultras try to chew through. There's a lot going on under there. The Mothership racking up the damage. The Oracle's also here. 11 probes dead. I think the Roach drop just kept being juggled. But again, never give up. Never surrender. Hero survives to fight another day. But Serral, the income advantage is looking like the prize pool distribution of Serral in tournaments, as he's had the advantage for the greater part of a long time now. Multiple extra bases, 7 Ultralisks. He only lost 1 in that fight. That's actually incredible. The care and oh no. Hero does not have vision of the blockade. I keep saying blockade. Oh, that's what it's called. It's rocks. We just call them different things, but they serve. I mean, they're you got it. The shield effect is just to look fancy. And, well, there's another way to get into Hero's base. His army actually has the least convenient one now. More Zealots overrun. Despite all this, Hero has only lost that 1 Nexus, the one he didn't cancel. So, well, another drop is coming in. 4 Dropper Lords loaded up immediately. And forces the recall back, but it's just a few Archons. The Mothership gonna help combine to take out some of these Overlords. Drops out the Zerglings to buy himself a little more space. 7 Brood Lords on the way. We're getting the Ultra Brood composition. Now, very notably here, not a single Infestor, not a single Viper. Serral going with the cinematic experience. None of these one of these flimsy spellcasters. Microbial Shroud is on the way. Uniquely suited to helping Ultras against Immortals and Archons. I mean, it's something. But the Roaches will get through into the natural. There's an Immortal here. There's not much money to warp into defend, so Hero's just gonna go forward. He has Archons against Broods, which is not the ideal counter, but Serral actually doesn't have any detection right here. He brings the Overseers in. The Ultras are getting targeted one by one, and the count is dwindling, but the Brood Lords are slowly working through the Archons. We're down to 2 Ultralisks, but still most of the Brood Lords remain. The Mothership There's a couple corruptors. Hero doesn't notice until the last second. A fungal comes out. The Broodlord's maintaining air superiority. The Roaches just won the fight against everything in the natural. And the Broodlords will chase this army down. And again, Hero is at half the supply of Serral. But Serral is unable to remax out. Which, well, the problem is now that did Hero never got Blink. That's one of the problems. There's multiple problems, but that's a pretty big one in this scenario. And Blink is uniquely helpful because there's not that much on the ground. Being able to maneuver the Stalkers might be enough to take out the relatively small amount of Broodlords, at least until 5 more Infestors join the field. Well, he's modding from the gold, or not the gold, the rich Vespene base. Gold Vespene gas. Purple. Even fancier. But he's gonna have like 1 or 2 Tempests against Broodlords. Now, there's no Corruptors. He's building 1. But somehow Hero has fought this out. Serral has lost 65 less resources. Not 6,500, not 650. 65. I mean, he's lost a significant amount less gas as well, so more efficient on that front. But an obscenely even game. Spots the Tempest in production, more Corruptors on the way. And after 2 rounds of Hero getting dragged down under 100 supply, he's gonna have one more chance. One more opportunity. Will we capture it? Or more likely, we let it slip. The Templar Archives gets ripped apart by Adrenalings. The Zealots will eviscerate them in turn. A gruesome display in the main base. Alright, Serral. With the full Zerg experience. The Roachling Bane. Well, the just a few mutas into the Roachling Bane, into Ultras, and then Broods, and then Ultra Broods, with some Infestors to really tie the room together. Banelings trying to bash through, but Zealots also reliving some cinematics. But Zerglings should be able to get through the cannons if well controlled. There's actually nothing else happening right now. I mean, Serral's setting up more defenses. But I think correctly deciding that it's really on Hero to make something happen now. Serral still he has the greatest income lead he's had this entire game. Hero has maybe 1 more base he could even think about taking without Serral just collapsing on him. But Brenda? Don't. But there's Microbial Shroud, is there Neural Parasite? Indeed there is. Feedback pops some Infestors, but another Fungal. Gonna hold this down. Still no Blink out of Hero. Feels like a conscientious objection here. The Fungals helping the Corruptors to zone out the Tempest and taking them down easily. Meanwhile, Ultras and Legs just eviscerating the natural. The production is gone. The economy is shattered. And Hero, I think finally, comprehensively and decisively beat. Holding on longer than I think anyone thought he could or should. Almost able to turn it around, but Serral always had that next level of tech. Whether it was the biomass of Ultralisk or the air superiority of the Broods, at no point did Hero have the army that was going to punch through. Though it looked a little dicey for a few moments. Serral wins his first game against Hero in 2026. At least I think that's accurate. I don't know. Well, losing 4 Phoenixes to like 7 Mutas is not ideal micro. Let's put it that way. There were sometimes heroes Forrest Gumpian school of Protoss who don't think good works out for him. The wild-eyed, crazy man toss. But, and usually, the thing that Hero relies on is his obscenely good micro. Even if the situation that forced him to do that micro is questionable, usually he can somehow navigate his way out of it. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to be the case there. If both his architectural skills and his micro fail him, Hero is left without a charged lot to stand on. What are you doing? Hero! Hero! Does Hero know he's playing against Zerg? Did he forget? Someone? Not even really rhetorical. So, this is like an anti-12 pool build. This is a map where it does have a low ground without a ramp, which means it's significantly... Doing an early pool build with Zerglings can be significantly stronger. But... And if you wall off in the main, or if you just build in the main, then you no longer have the vulnerability. If you want to pull probes, it's right there. You can create a choke point. So, think trying to mind game Serral to some extent. You can eventually get the wall with the natural. It's just much more vulnerable to quick follow-up attack. Period. It's not like Serral hasn't done the 12 pool before. Alright? But, yeah. Overlord gonna wander its way in. See, probably get a little suspicious at the severe lack of wall. Serral clearly just clicking up. There it is. Now we see if this is some obscure genius or if Hero's gonna hurt himself in his own confusion. A forge. Some sort of charge lot timing? Because the forge is not... I mean, it could be for cannons, but obviously not aggressively. It has to be a Twilight behind this. If it's not a Twilight, I've given up. Oh. A fake Phoenix this time will also help kill the Overlord. He's 100%... He did not scout. He's 100% gambling that if Serral didn't do an early pull. And he actually killed that Overlord so fast that Serral's hard supply blocked. He's got more on the way, but... cannot build anything for quite a bit, which is quite important because of the early larva, potentially maxing them out right when you need them most, and delaying some more economy. There's the Twilight. All right, so this is potential. It has to be charged light. Watch him go blink now. That would be just like Hero. Ignore blink for the entire game when he desperately needed it, and then go blink. Just for funsies. What? Off we go then. +2 blink? Otherwise, will I get the forge so early? This is an old build, but it checks out, all right? I mean, Hero, probably, besides Classic, our oldest, like, top pro player at 34, unlike Serral and myself at 28 and 33, respectively, as of the day you're watching this. All right, I shoehorned that one in. Happy birthday to me and Serral. The oldest I've ever been. That's my claim to fame in StarCraft. My only one is sharing a birthday with the finisher. It has to mean something. Blink and +1. Hero, what are you doing? There was a time, it was like Heart of the Swarm, where +2 blink was a standard opener. Back when parting was a threat to the World Championship. And with just micro blink stalkers, and that was his entire build most of the time, besides that Immortal Sentry build, which was also, you know, kind of a similar vibe. But it's just gonna be a whole lot of Blink Stalkers. He's hitting them. Serral's just hedging his bets. He has not built any spores, which means he's quite convinced he's dealing with a ground-based attack, and there's likely not DTs, because he would just die if it was a DT run. Hero... Is that even a wall? He's trying to set up a hard wall behind... Well, that's a commitment right there. He's shutting the door behind him. Something Hero almost never does at any point for any reason. He spotted the army, and here we go. It's a bunch of Blink Stalkers. There's a few Zealots and Adepts scattered in. +2 is still pretty far off, but he is going to have that +1 advantage. There's not that many Roaches. And the Queen's already taking some hits. Hero being surprisingly coy about this so far. But he knows about the Zergling counter. But there's some Zealots mixed in, which will actually cut down the Zerglings and keep them all tied up. And Zealots with +1 are quite helpful. Killing Zerglings in 2 swipes instead of 3. Serral's setting up to deny the 3rd base, but Hero has no intentions. This is do or die. Well, it's do critical damage or die. He needs to at least kill the 3rd, ideally. If not, win the game. Those are really the only options here. +2 attack is done. He even queues up armor behind. He's really keeping himself covered against the counterattack. Hero... There's enough here, and it's off creep, but Roach speed is done. And there's enough Ravagers to potentially snipe the Prism. We're fighting on both fronts. Blink Stalker to the south and the north. Blink's back. Fully pushed back by the Roaches and Langs. And throw the fire. And Fury. It looks like Serral has more than enough to defend. Almost double army supply, but the upgrades are quite important. But the numbers don't lie. And they really spell disaster right now for Hero, unless he's able to do literally the best micro I've ever seen. Casually taking out the Observer. There's enough Roaches to just melt through the Stalkers before they can even hope to micro away. Hero. Running into effectively a brick wall of Roaches and just trying to take pot shots at it, but the numbers aren't there! Serral just stutter stepping his way across. Now, he only has 51 drones, but he's got them distributed across 3 bases. He has a better economy, more efficient economy, and he has obviously a whole bunch of Roaches knocking on the door. There's a sentry up here, which I think was just the select all army hotkey being used, and the sentry was locked in before, as he juggles everything out of his base. Blinks it as well. It's now a 3 upgrade advantage for Hero, which makes these units still very good, but it's a numbers game. Maybe. Well, we'll see. That's a whole lot. He's got 25 Stalkers against 28 Roaches and 5 Ravagers, and when you put it that way, it doesn't sound so bad. Casual force field, emotional support field. Backing off. +1 melee attack on the way for Serral. He snuck out a few more drones. And Hero is still building up, like I said. There is no follow-up. It's more of the same, and hopefully with better micro. But as time goes on, it is... Serral has not lost any of his economy. His creep spread is still enough. It's serviceable. Pushes him almost all the way to the ramp. Very helpful to minimize the effect of those Blink Stalkers. Scatters the corrosive bell. The shotgun blast hits some of it. And with 3 infestors on the way, a single fungal, let alone 3, would be game ending. And right now, Hero is suffering from diminishing returns. And he was barely getting any in the first place. The infestor is out. And he whips out the fungal, catches a group. There they go. It ain't it. Hero takes out a build that's probably about half as old as Serral himself. And, well, it wasn't too far after that point that we learned how to deal with it. Very simply, Serral has the numbers. He cut drones at the right time. He knew the range of options of what Hero was doing without a Stargate, without a third base, and was able to narrow down. And now Serral with 2 in a row. Hero not able to find the space magic he needs in order to bamboozle Serral out of a winning position. And honestly has looked, well, that is the dichotomy of Hero. Either you die a hero or you live long enough to be a hero. And unfortunately, his survival is cut short 2 games in a row. But it's time for some winter madness, which you thought you signed up for when you clicked on this video, but you didn't truly do until you liked and subscribed. Thank you for coming to my TEDx talk. What are you doing, Hero? This is, I mean, I feel like losing affects Hero less than anyone else in the game, including Serral. In fact, well, losing does affect Serral a lot. Like, I'm sure the wheels are turning there, but sometimes I really feel like Hero just turns off his brain entirely. And he just, whatever comes out, goes on a spirit journey and is like, you know what we haven't seen in a while is +2 Blink Stalkers on 2 base. You know why? I don't remember. Let's try it out. There you go. That's not a wall. Right? I need to speak to your manager. I know he doesn't speak. I don't know. So... I don't subscribe to the idea. We're not even going to shoehorn that one. I'm just moving on. That not walling off or leaving the door open is some sort of 200 IQ bait. I think it's just, and Hero himself has said, he just focuses elsewhere. It's not like intentional. It's just he makes an active decision that sometimes Zerglings will get in, but if he does enough damage or he micros well enough in other scenarios, he still gets ahead. Which is part of why I think we saw when the door was open for Serral, he could have gotten 50 Zerglings in, but he split off and he only sent in like 10. Because he's like, we're not gonna play that game with Hero. We're not gonna play his 4D backgammon out in the alleyway behind the strip club. Okay? As enticing as it sounds in this Blade Runner scenario, but I mean, yeah, there you go. Okay. You think like, oh, obviously he's gonna put a pylon there, but we've seen too many games where I'm saying Hero. I was kind of thinking about SOS, who does this as well, who also has a similar, unique Protoss mindset, arguably a very smooth one, but where they just don't notice. Like, you know, I wish I could. When I play, if you watch the streams on Winter Gaming TV, the second channel, then I have a meticulous way. I like, as a random player, I'm 1/3 Protoss, 1/3 Terran, 1/3 Zerg, and 1/3 Salt myself. I'm very meticulous, like, about having a setup, like certain builds in certain ways. And this kind of comes from, as random, you got to play 9 matchups. So you kind of want to have a baseline, sometimes in the literal sense, to make sure that you control the variables. Because learning and remembering and adapting to 9 different matchups is not the easiest thing. Just from experience. So you have this baseline. I feel like Hero is post-Protoss. Alright, he's transcended. But, he might be a little high on his own supply today. Unlike his supply itself, of course. There's the Oracle. We got some charge. The double Oracle doing some deplorable things. Revelation. I'll clean up right after it. Overlord spots the idle Stargate and sees a robotics facility. There's a forge. Did he also see there's a Twilight of the Natural? So it's going to be charge and +1. All right. Throwing that one out there. He's got 55 probes and counting. So not any sort of all-in. He would have added on a lot more gateways earlier, or at least you would think. Templar Archives. It is that more brawler composition, or at least it looks to be for now. The Archon charge lot with maybe some Immortals mixed in behind. The CIA build is a great, tried and true method for overthrowing foreign bases. So something that Hero uses on him. Like, it's not complicated. It's just about execution as opposed to preparation. That's where Hero's instincts and timing come in. I'm not convinced that's a wall. Serral, not gonna, well, the Stalker. There you go. Got 1 foot off the edge there. Roach is on the way. 70 drones to 66 probes. Hero now pumping out. He's got the max economy for 3 bases efficiently. 22 apiece. 16 on minerals. 3 on each gas. So, just a public service announcement. You can go to up to 24 workers. Just because it turns red, they're still efficient, especially to about 20. But technically, you still get more than you would long-distance mining. It's just each worker past 16 has to wait for a slot at the mineral patches. Sometimes a short, sometimes a longer amount of time, depending on close or far patches. So that's why it's not the end of the world if it turns red. Stop long-distance mining, my Silver League friends. That is the least... If you have so many probes, you have 20 probes on one base. I'm just saying. But I digress. Speaking of Silver League, Hero down the center. Does he have... He's got charge lots in the Prism. Though he's sharking it around like he has Storm. Serral might think they're a Templar in the Prism, just based on the way it's acting. But, well... acting indeed. Warp Prism comes in, and the charge lots drop out, just gonna slice through some drones. Right-clicked on him, and the main base potentially open. The Roaches and Ravagers and Queens, oh my, the creep highway on its way across the map. But the Templar should be available by the time this attack arrives. And wait, the Queens are... And we're walking! Well, if you call this walking, it's really more of the idea, Susan. Don't be a Karen. I've heard that. The Storms, though, gonna zone out the entire front line. And Serral is actually behind an economy. This Category 5 Storms at the front, and Serral is completely kept at bay. The Warp Prism unchecked because the Queens have been pulled to the front. And for the first time, Hero whips out the Storms. To incredible effect. But does he have any left over? I think he has 1 or 2 left. The Oracles wander in. That's why the Queens are here in the first place. But the Storm's doing terrible, terrible damage. Is it enough? He's got 3 Immortals, a 4th Immortal at the Natural. The creep is extending into Hero's base. A Stasis will catch some of it. The Immortal... And the Roach Ravager has been thinned out somewhat. He's actually going to engage directly. And if he can get the angle on a lot of the Roaches... Meanwhile, that there's a warp prism phased in inside of Serral's main, and nobody's really paying attention to it. There's a void ray in production. But so many immortals collapsing on this army. And despite the supply, the fact that it's 5 immortals against like 30 roaches, and a third of the army's in stasis, another third is in production or on the way across, and the other third is getting attacked by probes, apparently. So far, that's 100% chance of Hero holding the line. That's too many immortals. Unless he has a mental breakdown here, which is possible. You never know if Hero's gonna have a stroke or a stroke of genius, but a couple immortals taken out, but this attack has... Yeah, finally! Serral notices the prism before the prism notices the spore crawler burrowing underneath it. Hero gets the notification. Is it in time? No! Unceremonious end to a brave warp prism. But the army size goes from a 30-40 supply advantage for Serral to maybe a dozen. And the army value, look at that. 2,700, 3,000 minerals and 2,300 gas right now for Hero. 2,500, 800 for Serral. So despite having, well, he doesn't even have the supply lead anymore. He didn't kill that many probes. And I truly think he was not at, yeah, there's no wall. It was torn down. Hero kind of realizing that now. I don't know what these roaches are doing. So he's just gonna slap together some sort of bulwark against any follow-up. Infestation pit and a Hydra den on the way. So Serral trying to get to the next base. The Archons merge at the worst possible time, and he'll take out 2 of them. But the army itself gonna be chased down. Serral trying to take a 5th base. I say multiple void rays. Yeah, why not? There's no anti-air. The Immortal will retreat behind this semi-bulwark. There's burrow move roaches, which is going to complicate things a bit. An Observer being chrono boosted out, but Hero's just gonna go forward because it's a fool's errand, I think, to go back. There's really not that much at home to defend. Spore Crawler's scrambling into the fray, but the charge lots are already there. They won't even be able to burrow. The Storms eat some corrosive bile, and well, it's a bit of a mess here. Loses 1 Observer, not that that's critical. There's no lurkers at the moment. Though burrow move roaches could be something. There's still an Observer as well. Hero zoning out. But he successfully dragged it. Well, Serral kind of set him up for it, but he successfully dragged the game into a very chaotic state. And that's where he absolutely thrives. There's a fleet beacon on the way as well. As Hero pumping out the laundry list of top-tier Protoss. Here's we got an Immortal 2 Archons, another Oracle, and plus 3 ground weapons. Serral up to 72 drones. He's got Lurker Den and a Hive on the way. But surviving to make good use of them is going to be the hardest part, especially with all the fixins here. Hero with Templar and Archons. He's got the Void Rays are a mixed bag as the Hydra count grows. Not very good against the Hydras themselves, but the Hydras have to get close to kill them. And it gives you some other options against Lurkers. The Hydra speed about to complete. He went for range first, which is a better defensive option most of the time, but could cost him some space here. As already Hero jams himself in between the corner of the map and the hatchery. The Roaches might be able to trade bases. There is enough energy for a recall at this Nexus. It's just Mass Hydra. Revelation, I don't even know. It hit like 1 creep tumor. He's going to trade the Nexus. But if he gets 2 hatcheries in turn... Oh, wait, he recalls! Just enough of his army that the Hydras might be able to kill the rest. The Storms are doing terrible, terrible damage. He saves the Nexus, though abandons a few more of his units. The Hydras will slither through this tiny choke point. Serral keeps his alternative 4th base together. The Queens will desperately try to find some injections. There's only 3 Queens. There's 37 Hydras. Now morphing a few into Lurkers. Lurker range not done yet. How many Templar? 8 Templar with mixed amounts of energy. A few burrow move roaches. An Overlord with creep drop is denying the base to the north. Some more, just like 3 Hydras. That's not gonna happen. That's way too many Templar. The storms will wash across the front line, and they are absolutely devastating. The Lurkers, the Void Rays charged up, and Hero is on the board. He strikes back. Serral tries to attack Hero, which plays right into his hand. That slapstick defense on all fronts, willing to give up pieces of his base and even his probes in order to maintain that chaotic state of the game. We see Hero can go toe-to-toe as long as he keeps running in random directions. Well, another wild game. Hero is alive. We're going to Tyto Citadel. Where are you going? Scouting at the beginning of the game. Like, making sure. Does Serral do the extractor, the 15 hatch? So this is skipping, not skipping, but delaying your first Overlord in order to get a hatchery quicker, in order to stop them from blocking you. Now, we're about to find out, I think. No, wait. He did get the first Overlord. All right. So he's just going to take the thing. So if you get the Overlord, I think the probe will be there in time. It's close. Has Serral worked this out perfectly? Yes! Wow. Okay. I think it actually takes drone micro to make sure, like making sure everything's on the perfect mineral patch. If he was 2 seconds slower, the probe would have been there in time. You can get the hatch if you delay your Overlord, but that is a big economic hit. Getting a hatchery quicker doesn't necessarily balance it out. But he got the Overlord and he got the hatch, despite the fact that Hero scouted at the beginning. Scouted. Scouting is a light word for what he intended to do with that probe, but the obstructionist probe. So, Serral does get his Natchery in a timely fashion. Hero can... So, minerals don't care, okay? The first worker that comes by and says, I want a piece of you, is what the minerals think is going to get the job done. So when the probe comes by and starts laser tonguing some of these minerals, then the minerals are like, oh, I'm taken. And we'll send the drones elsewhere because they're sending him those signals. So you'll see them kind of dueling. Here's the thing. The minerals know if the worker has already gathered minerals from another patch. Well, they're obviously taken, at least for the time. So you can't actually mine with the probe, otherwise it invalidates this strategy, which is something that if you do it perfectly and your opponent doesn't react at all, can deny several dozen minerals. Potentially. And it's annoying because pros do have a tendency to pair those workers on the closed patches as much as possible, and bouncing them around is, 1, it slightly reduces mining, and 2, it looks ugly. An even greater offense. Probe J's down. Though the Zergling's only marginally faster. There should be an Adept in time to save it. Yeah, it doesn't bother going out. He's actually going to work on the rocks down the center, because not having this angle can make it very difficult to maneuver around the map. It's actually a downside for Zerg, these rocks being here. And upside to defense for probably Protoss and Terran against him. Overlord. Stop. You're fine. For now. The Adept sneaking around just trying to see if the Overlord or any Zerglings are coming out. Oracle will give high ground vision to finish it off. The Stalker patrolling. Now, this is going to get a bit awkward because the Stalker doesn't have quite enough range, so has to go all the way around. There's not enough Zerglings to deal with this, and the Oracle overhead essentially just protects against any group of Zerglings that might want to take out the Stalker. Third base on the way. Not too quick, not too slow. Just right. Twilight Council. And 3 more gates to fight. Is this Glaives? Is this our obligatory Glaives all-in? As the prophecy foretold, in every best of 7 against Serral as Protoss, there must be at least one kind of mediocre Glaives all-in. If you go back throughout the millennia, and by that I mean about 10 years, and watch any best of 7 with Serral against Protoss, I think you'd be hard-pressed to not find at least one random Glaives all-in. I say random because it always feels like it's not particularly map-specific. But, well. Now we see. The thing about Glaive to Depths is, even if you know they're coming, they can be deadly. And if you overreact, you can also be behind. Finding the perfect balance, someone puns intended, to dealing with the Adepts is the key. And obviously, Serral is uniquely suited to do so, but another part is how hard it is to read this beforehand. Like, Serral's building Spore Crawlers, he's getting Overlord speed, which is not going to be particularly helpful against a whole bunch of Glaive to Depths, though he may be angling for a Queen drop as a counter pressure, like we saw, or at least a Creep Highway like last game. But here we go, 50 Shades with Glaives. Oh my. The Zerglings will spot it. Serral goes from 4 to 8 roaches in production instantly, as many as he could possibly build. Right now it's 25 Zerglings and 5 Queens against the Oracles and the Adepts. Revelation helps deal with the creep. The Oracles driven away by the Queens, but this could get real dicey real fast. There's the hard wall at the natural. There should be enough here. He knows about the stasis, tries to trigger it, gets it with a single wing. And Serral so far just boxing this out with ease. Hero actually gets to a 7 worker lead behind it. He's not building any more Twilight Council upgrades. Has he resigned himself to only going Blink once per series? Because this would clearly be the timing for Blink. But, double Robo on the way. Another old, very old, like this is a Neva build. The greatest Protoss player in American history. And probably North American history. But, beating Serral at his highest point with things like Mass Glaive to Depths into Immortals, which is quite an intuitive counter. You force out all these roaches and then get enough Immortals to just smash them. Kind of what we saw last game. But now, it's gonna be the German taxi build, the quick get in. Oh, how roomy it is. Yeah, now that Karen isn't here. I heard that! Wow, these walls are thin. But yet, surprisingly dry. So, Susan, I don't... Oracle gets taken out, outflanked by the Queens and Overlords. Couple Immortals done, more being Crota boosted out, but it's Serral's time. He lost 5 drones in total so far, whips out the Corrosive Bow, Hero just wanders right into it. Which, oh god, oh my, oh sweet Tassadar. Somehow the Immortals are able to kind of slink their way back behind the lines here. But without charge, the Adepts are suffering from some of the same weaknesses on this sort of attack. More Immortals come out. The Adepts will cancel their Shades at the last second. The Immortals are doing a lot of damage, but the Zerglings are mitigating many of the more effective attacks. And Serral just whipping out more Corrosive Biles than an unruly frat party right now, and it's looking like this much random acid is easily going to neutralize the base. Still a lot of Immortals, but there's not the storm to thin out the masses of units like we saw last game. There's not the counterattack to force the split of forces. There's just less and less Immortals, less and less economy, and less chance of preventing Serral from getting to match point. This counterattack, devastating. And Hero left with out very much to 7 sentries. Sure. The corrosive bow, he's gonna try to partition this fight. And the corrosive bow can... What a GG timing by Hero. Slaps down the force field and says, "That's enough." All right. And Serral is up 3-1. The curious case of random resonating glaives, which I did see a question about what it actually does. The glaives increase attack speed of the adepts by 45%. So they do the same thing, but way better. They just completely slice through Zerglings and drones. And technically, that also means they're better against roaches and queens and all that. But it doesn't counteract the fact that their bonus is almost entirely to light. And going up against even a similar number of roaches and queens is not worth the effort. Though technically roaches cost more, as do queens. I mean, adepts cost more than roaches. Not the other way around. Anyways, Jimmy. Game 5. As Serral able to slap down another attempt of Hero to get the damage done early. So far, the defender has been at the greatest advantage for most of the series so far. Unsurprisingly, that's been Serral on more frequent occasion. Hero will successfully delay the Natchery, force out the third this time around. Seems the rush distance significantly shorter, and the probe able to get there in time. So, it seems Serral has recovered from getting 3-0'd by Hero earlier in the year. I mean, the Zerg adapt, and if they're good enough, they overcome. Though Hero has... It doesn't seem like Hero's greatest day so far. Though with Hero, it can always turn around. It's some turbulent weather. Whether or not he has the storms, which has been the defining characteristic of the series so far, really. Gonna be taking... Well, actually, quite a while until the third base. The probe already gone. What do we got? It's a Stargate on the way. Sticking with the classics, as Classic would do. We saw how strong he is in the GSL, where Hero drafted him onto his team and then coasted off his cape tails. Might need a little inspiration from Classic, to be honest here. Not sure what happened to Classic. I assume Classic was knocked out earlier. Classic's blessing and curse is his consistency, where it's a lot easier to prepare for him. Whereas Hero is nearly impossible. What do we got? Oracle first? The Adepts just gonna mildly inconvenience the hatchery. The threat of the Adepts forcing out some early Zerglings and limiting the drone count. Like, look at the worker count right now. And if you looked at it exactly what I said, you'd see a 6 worker gap. Because you need those early Zerglings. Every building you build costs a drone. Until the injects really start popping off, in a pretty literal sense, Zerg actually has a... tenuous economy. That's why it's so important to know your timings and exactly how much you want to build. Especially when it comes to the Zerglings. And, well, loses several drones. He gets in. And this is restricted lair space! You sound stressed, Sue. Are you not? Yes, but I hide it. I bottle it up inside, so that way it explodes later. That doesn't sound healthy. It's not. Sorry. Hive mind. Well, Hero successfully whittling down the drone count. 6 kills. And as the prophecy foretold the Oracle in the orange, Serral trying to get away with not having spore crawlers until the latest hour. And we'll see if it pays off. Twilight Council on the way. Don't you do it again. I'm going to be unsurprised yet somewhat disappointed if he just goes Glaives again. We will see. Blink. With no forge. Interesting. There's like, well, spin the wheel of the Twilight Council. What are we gonna get? I'm surprised we don't have a Dark Shrine. A Shrine to Dark seems appropriate as we're hopefully... Oh, the Treacles. He built the Triumvirate here. And is that enough energy? Well, we're gonna see. And we're walking. I don't know. The Queens are coming down. There should... If the Queens are unable to drive them back, I think it's enough damage to cancel the base. And the Adepts just get in. A little stutter step. Serral cancels. And restarts it immediately. But successfully delays the 4th base with the triple Oracle. And now Serral's at 66 drones. He's got a Hydraless Den on the way. Hero eventually got his forge, and +1 is now added on behind it. I'm loath to say he just forgot the forge, but it does kind of seem like that's the case. Anyways, the Stalker's moving out. The Queen's already... The creep spread... Well, I love the use of the creep drop on the Overlords. One of the least... To this day, still one of the most underutilized aspects of Zerg. But all the little details add up. And hopefully give you... solve the problem of dealing with Protoss. Infestation pit halfway done. Hydra was done in production. But again, Hero will knock out the 4th base, and this time around it won't be restarted. Though he has an alternative at the 6 o'clock position. Another hatchery on the way. Templar Archives. Hero not committing everything. But he's not committing nothing. Just a little in between. The Oracles will make sure that Zerglings can't easily surround the Blink Stalkers out in the field. Whereas the Hydralisks are a much greater threat. But right now, they don't have any of their upgrades. Working on Hydra Speed first. Which is a change from the previous Winter Madness game. Meanwhile, Stasis, gonna try to zone it out. Serral triggers it. It's a few Zerglings. Another one at the back. Is that enough to box out here? The Stalkers are kind of wandering into the fray, tripping over one another. Loses several, and what could have been maybe an okay fight for Hero definitely takes a turn for the meh. Thinking about a 4th base now. Is there a Templar Archives? Indeed there is. Is there Storm? He just energy recharged. You didn't get Storm, Hero! 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 I'm trying to yell into the past. Because he's energy recharging his Templar, which implies he thinks... No, that's for feedbacking Queens, bro. Yeah, okay. He doesn't have Storm, nor does he have Storm in production. So... that could be a very rude awakening. Oh, Hero. If he doesn't realize before the fight starts, he's gonna lose the game. I gotta... Oh, no. Okay, we're gonna go to the Hero cam, and we can figure out exactly when he figures it out. Fleet Beacon on the way. He's moving the Templar, and he thinks he has Storm so hard right now. Oh, here we go. Here the Templar are. He doesn't have Storm. Oh, no. Oh, where's my Templar Arc? Oh, it's a disaster. He scrambles to find the Templar archives. Oh. And honestly, having Storm, look at the supply. If he has Storm right now, Serral's blocked off his own base with creep tumors, I think. Hero might help him out with that. If he has Storm there, it's a real threat. The lurker count is still incredibly low. It's growing rapidly. He has lurker range done. The simple lack of momentum. Unable to regain it because he did not realize. That window has completely shut now. Against 4 lurkers without range, that's nothing. Now 10 lurkers with range, that is a much larger problem. And even if he has Storm, it's a big effort to deal with. So that window, now Serral might not even realize he didn't have it. Okay, he just knows that he didn't attack there. But the lurkers, revelation. Some of the lurkers caught in stasis, but it doesn't last forever. Mothership just started. The storms now whipped out across the board. And, oh wow. Just a more dangerous wall than the force fields there. But the lurkers are spread out. Still, a lot of damage being dealt by the storms. If your storms last more than 6 seconds, make sure to consult a Templar today, but quite a duration. His army getting strung out, but Hero still has 100 army supply, plus 2 attack. Serral not getting any additional upgrades, at least attack upgrades. He's got Hydra Lunge on the way. The storms softening up, the lurkers will pull back. Takes a couple storms to get through, I'm assuming they sit through the duration, which most of them are. And driving back the lurkers, but there's still so many. Huge counterattack of charge lots. Gonna take the base down the center. The storms almost entirely being relied upon to deal with this. A single Tempest, but that might be enough. The lurkers starting to slice through the base. The main army brawling it out in the midfield. There's no Templar behind this. The Hydras and Lings are able to overrun, but he did get the hatch. Gonna whip out some more storms. The hatchery is falling. And, I mean, the Nexus, the hatchery already fell. And the charge lot's coming through, but it's already too late. Hero waiting too long to try to defend this base. He'll cut through the lurkers, but it will cost him pretty much all his probes. The army on the front line, the drone getting in on the action. The wall is wide open. He'll close it at the last second. But Hero suffering heavy losses on both fronts. Serral, also, it cost a significant portion of his entire army. Serral destroyed 8,100 minerals and 1,600 gas over the last minute and a half. Hero destroyed 6,100 to 2,200. 120 Zerglings, 12 lurkers, notably 1 stalker, but Serral, on the other hand, got, well, the Nexus adds a lot as well. Zergling slipped into the main somehow, but we cleaned up. There's a single Stargate. Hero still very close on army supply. Serral starting to fill in upgrades. That's the only compounding advantage he's going to have in the near future. But, and Hero he has the Mothership, which means any of these fights, there's no Corruptors. There's 22 Hydralisks, but they wither quickly in the face of a set of well-placed storms. The Oracles wander too close. One of them gets knocked out of the sky by a Spore Crawler. A big counterattack. A slow warping of Templar. Some warding storms. The charge lots with +2 attack. Meanwhile, Zerglings denying a base. The main army chewing through. Charge lots in the natural. Every which way, everywhere, all the time. And the charge, where are they going? World Tour will turn around, but there's enough Hydras to deal with this. The Zerglings deny the base. The Tempest not enough. Recalls back to the 3rd base to defend. But Serral will be left with 5 bases, and Hero with just 3. And now, with the Corruptors in production, Serral is bringing it all together. There is always the danger, the existential threat that the Templar pose, and enough Tempests that if he doesn't maintain air control, the Tempest will just kill everything. But there's 18 Hydras, 6 Corruptors, 10 Corruptors now, with 5 Queens to back him up. Serral pulls almost everything back to defend. But Hero still has enough to potentially chew through. It's been a rough and tumble game, but the army supplies are dead even at 108 apiece. He lunges forward. The storm a little bit too slow, but counteracts it. with the active cloaking on the mothership. Still the Tempest shelling. The observers, well, here comes Serral from every which way. The corruptors from the north, the Time Warp lunges to the south. Still on the creep, the Queen's trying to help out. Knocking down the Tempest, mitigating the Archons. The Archons chewing through the front line on the ground. The Tempest will hold for now, and Serral is forced to back off and refill. But 27 Hydralisks are in production. Another swell, the 300 supplies are coming together. But Hero will strike while he has an opportunity. The Oracles, Revelation, the Lurkers are gone. The overwhelming power of the Archons, and Hero punches through. 25 Hydralisks, and most importantly here, wait, there's still Templar. He still has storms. He will use them. Serral lunges forward. The last Oracle is taken down. That's actually a huge deal. He has no more detection. He has no way to stop the Lurkers. The Hydra count is too damn high. The storms are absolutely exhausted. And the Tempest will be chased down. The Hydras will strike back. And Hero is cleared from the field. The Tempest will have to kite down. Reinforcements brought to the front line. The Templar will try to whittle down the Hydra count. The creep trap from the Overlords as the highway continues all the way to hell. And the Tempest, one by one, plucked out of the sky by the Hydra, was uncontested by the splash damage, and Hero has battled across the field. But this time around, it seems like the finisher, the king, has returned. Serral 4, Hero 1. Serral with a comprehensive, decisive victory, leaving no doubt as to how the turntables have turned as DJ Serral is taking out bases left, right, and center. Dropping them if you would. Hero with some just struggling on multiple fronts, doing his typical, atypical style, but unable to bring it together before Serral ripped it apart. A confident and kind of dynamic set of strategies. We saw Ultras and Broods. We saw Hydras and Mutas. But Serral locks it down and gets his revenge. So hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you again to Pig for these incredible Pigfests, the Pigsty Festival, funded by you, the people. So make sure to check out for the next one on Pig's channel on Twitch or YouTube. I think he'll let you know when the next one's coming up, and you can get in on the action and get the replays and maybe cast if you're into that. But thank you for watching. I hope it made your day a little bit better. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals, Big Jig, Devin Door, Kate, Mario, Suit, and, well, I still here liking and subscribing. It's still free, at least for now. So make sure to check out this video Jimmy picked out just for you. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.